am married to my wonderful husband, David, and I can say that because he's not here to say, remember when you said that about me at that ladies and the men were there, they heard you? He's not here. We've been married for 31 years. Yes, I got married when I was 6. It was arranged back then, just kidding. We started dating when I was 16, so you do the math. And we have a beautiful daughter, Kristen, who's married to a young man who just became a youth pastor in Olney, Maryland, where they have our grandson, and he's 14 months old, and he is a baby genius, trust me. He is the smartest child you'll ever meet. He calls me Yaya, and I absolutely love it. Oh, that's him. Yeah, good job. Yeah. Isn't he precious? He's 14 months old now. And I have a son, Stephen, who is 22 and lives in Texas. So my family's pretty scattered out. I currently work at Clover School District. I've been there for 10 years in different roles. I was an academic assistant teacher for 4th graders. I love children. I decided to stay away from the high school age for various reasons, but I love them. I now work with students from 2nd to 9th grade and then some 10th and 11th graders. I always thought that my role as a speaker, I have a ministry called Sowing Seeds Ministry, and like him, I was given this vision on a trip to Taiwan, and it was that I would go and speak and sing and sow seeds so that others could come to know the Lord that I love and the Lord that I serve. I always thought my story would be one of dysfunction, child abuse, sexual abuse, and attempted rape, 2 attempted suicides, and 1 suicide plan that, praise the Lord, did not come to fruition. I thought that would always be my story, and for years it was. I was asked to come and speak to a lot of events where women needed to hear how to overcome those things. But God changed my story. He changed the path I was on to a different story, one that has blessed me beyond measure. I've always been, since I was 16 years old, even though I was abused and had a hard time trusting, I became a caregiver. First to my father, and he's that first picture. My dad had his first massive heart attack when, wrong picture, that one, the week before he turned 40. He was at the river where he was when he had 3 heart attacks. We tried to tell him, do you see a pattern here? But he didn't listen. My daddy loved to fish. When he had his first massive heart attack, we were told he will live maybe a year, maybe 18 months. Little did they know God had other plans, and my daddy lived 41 years longer and passed away 2 years ago at the ripe old age of 81. But I always took care of my daddy. I always was the one who was at the hospital taking care of him. I was always the one there to make sure he was looked after, and I was his advocate. After my dad came my next patient. You would think I had a PhD. My next patient was our daughter. Our daughter, Kristen, was born. She's the one had the picture of the baby. That's not my daughter. I am not that old. Back it up, thank you. Okay, good, there you go. That's my daughter. And she was born with a neurogenic bladder. And we found that out when she was 2 weeks old. We spent her entire childhood in and out of hospitals. At 7, she had a major surgery where they took her appendix loose, took her appendix, routed it into her bladder, and she could basically, as she loves to tell people, I can pee out my belly button. Now there's a talent. And she loved it. She thought that was the greatest thing ever. But it meant many hospitalizations, many PICC lines, back and forth to doctors. There were many times I would go see her on one hall and take care of her, get on the elevator and go down a few floors to ICU and spend time with my dad. And then our son was born. And Stephen, throughout his childhood, had his own set of problems. And he's the young man, of course, he's holding the baby too, because I don't think there's enough pictures of Sawyer for you to see. I think it should be the next picture. And our son has dealt with major depression, suicidal thoughts and tendencies, and most recently, gender confusion. And that has rocked our family to no end, and it's a whole nother battle that we deal with. So I've been all of their caregivers. And then my sister, and she's the one that was not my daughter, my sister was diagnosed with MS just recently. She's been sick for 5 years. And because no one else in the family likes doctors and hospitals, not that I do, I was always the one taking care of her. So it became very overwhelming, and I was like, Lord, I'm glad I'm not sick, because if I were to get sick, who's going to take care of all these people that I love? And I thank the Lord I didn't get sick. But I had someone come into my life very unexpectedly that was. In February of 2012, while working at Clover School District, a coworker of mine who had just found out she had stage 4 breast cancer was at my desk, and she's never at my desk, but that day was a day that God ordained for my path. And she was talking to me about her diagnosis and the prognosis, and it was not good. While we were talking, Joe Gordon walked into our building. And Joe Gordon, everyone in Clover knows Joe Gordon. He was the former high school principal. He was an interim superintendent, and he's been on our school board for many years. I knew who Joe was, but I did not know Joe. The extent of our conversations was, hi, how are you? Have a great day. Nice to see you. And that was it. While we were standing there talking, he walked in, and Nancy looked up, and with big tears in her eyes, she said, Mr. Gordon, I was going to give you a kidney, but I can't because I have cancer. And I immediately just wanted to fall to my knees and start praying. So I ran to the bathroom because I'm a crier, and I was praying for Nancy, and I was crying, and it never once dawned on me what she had said other than she was talking about the cancer. When I got back to my desk, it dawned on me, wait, why does she want to give him a kidney? What's wrong with Joe? So being the nosy person that I am, I picked up the phone and called and started asking people, what's wrong with Mr. Gordon? Why does he need a kidney? And I was told that because of an undiagnosed high blood pressure problem that he had, his kidneys had failed, and he had been on dialysis for 2 years. He was now on a kidney transplant list, awaiting someone to die so he could have a kidney because he was too old. At the time, he was 70. He was too old to be given a kidney unless someone donated to him. And he was so far down on the list that there was no chance of him ever getting the kidney. At that very moment, I knew I was going to give him a kidney. God spoke to me as clear as I'm speaking to you and said, you need to do something. You need to be tested. Now keep in mind, I'm a girl who has to be given Valium and sleeping medication to have my teeth cleaned. I do not like pain. I don't like doctors. I hope none of you are dentists. If you are, I'm sorry, but no, I'm not. I don't like you people. I don't like dentists. They scare me. They cause pain. Let's face it. Everybody's a little afraid of the dentist. If you're not, we need to talk afterwards. There's something terribly wrong with you, and you need mental health diagnosis. Kim, you need to help them, okay? So I don't like that. So my husband, when I came home that day, and I came home, and I can tell you the exact day it was Monday, February the 13th. It was the day before Valentine's Day. He had big plans the next day. I think he changed them a little bit because he thought I had lost my mind. And I came home and said, baby, I need you to pray. I know God's telling me I need to donate a kidney. You need to what? You do realize that means going in the hospital and needles and shots and all that and pain. I said, I know that, but I know I'm supposed to do this. So I need you to pray. He said, okay, I'll pray. But I found out later he didn't really pray for that. He was praying for the complete opposite. He did not want me to do this. So within a matter of 2 weeks, I had my packet. Because when Joe came in to see me the next week or came into the office, I stopped him and I said, Mr. Gordon, I need to ask you a question. What does someone do to be tested to see if they can donate a kidney? And he said, why, you know somebody? And I said, yes, sir, me. And he said, why? What is wrong with you? You don't even know me. I said, I don't know you, but God has made it very clear that I can give you a kidney. And I want to do that for you. And he just started crying. He said, why would you do that? I said, because God told me to, and that's the only reason I need. I don't want that to sound like I'm this brave soul, because trust me, I'm not. It was very much a God thing, but I truly believe in Romans 8:28, when it says that all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. God called me. I didn't have a choice. God commands me in the Bible that I'm to love because he loved me. And because Joe is God's child, I love Joe. And I didn't want to see someone's daddy die if I could help him. So we began our process. He still thought I was crazy. He told everybody, this girl has lost her mind. She's crazy. She's a fruitcake. I don't know what's wrong with her. But hey, if that kidney works, I'll take it. So we would laugh quite a bit about it. But we immediately found out, and our time frame was rather quick. We found out by March 9th that not only was I a match, I was a complete match. They thought we were related. It was that perfect of a match. So the process began. And it wasn't a long journey for us. We had surgery in May. Mind you, I found out in February, so that's not a long time to prepare yourself and get scared, which is probably a good thing. So I went through many tests, ultrasounds and CT scans and MRIs and you name it. If they could run a test on you, I had it from head to toe. And through this whole process, Mr. Gordon would say, honey, you have to be healthy as a horse. You have to be healthy as a horse. You have to be healthy. I said, oh, I get it. I'm as healthy as a horse, okay? Can we move on? You're getting my kidney. But his family had come to the point where they were so afraid to hope because he was so sick. They had prepared themselves for him to die. But God had other plans. So on May the 12th, 2016, we went in for surgery. But before we went in for surgery, we had a long, very serious talk, and I said, well, Joe, here's the deal. The only way you can have my kidney, and he's going, because we had been told by social workers and psychologists, I had to see a psychologist, and I passed. Kim, I passed. Miracle, there's your miracle. They said that a lot of people go in to the day of surgery and will actually be being wheeled back to the operating room and will say, stop, I can't do this. And they change their mind moments before the surgery scheduled. So I'm sure at that point, Joe thought, here it goes. She's changed her mind. Her husband's talked her out of it. Took me 3 months to talk him into being supportive. And I'll come back to that in a minute because I want to tell you what made my husband finally support my decision. But I said, no, if you're going to get my kidney, there's one stipulation. It has to have a name. You can't have a body part without a name. It's part of me. And he said, I don't care as long as it's not glittery, blingy, or pink. I'm good. I said, okay, well, I've thought about this long and hard. And I have a picture. It's right before next to the last one, if it will come up. But there's Billy the Kidney. Yeah, that's what I named him. So Billy the Kidney was the kidney that I gave Joe. Billy came with quite a few surprises. Billy had a couple of little teeny tiny stones that were hiding up in the top part of the kidney. That's okay, he passed them. It's okay. That's why I gave that one away. I didn't want to deal with that. So Billy the Kidney now lives in his very happy home with Joe Gordon. But I can make light of it now. It was a process that I can tell you honestly did not hurt. The many, many weeks of being poked and prodded and blood taken, it didn't hurt. Because I knew why I was doing it, and it was for a greater purpose. It was for God's purpose, not mine. Because I can't take glory, I can't take credit. I can't take any credit for what God did. But my husband had a hard time understanding, why do you want to do this? You don't know this man. This man is 70 years old. Why would you do this? Why would you put your life at risk? Because it is true, it's harder on the donor than it is the recipient. Our surgery is a little bit longer, and it takes a lot longer to heal because of the fact that they're going into a normal, healthy body and taking out a completely healthy body organ. So it was a little harder for me. But the only thing that kept coming to my mind was John 15:13. No greater love than this, that a man would lay down his life for a friend. And even though at that moment when I'd heard of the need, Joe Gordon wasn't really my friend, he was my brother in Christ. He was someone that God intentionally put in my path to help. So he taught me that day, when I command you to do something and you obey me, you are going to be blessed beyond measure. So now I not only have a kidney buddy, and that last picture is my kidney buddy, Joe Gordon, and that was a year after our surgery. He has stepped in as a second father for me. I adore this man. I love his family. And it's an amazing story for our community to hear, because they're not hearing about Donna Thomas and Joe Gordon. They're hearing about God being at work. And I don't know what you guys are going through, and it may be the hardest thing that I can even fathom, but I know that the God who loves me, who loves Joe, loves you just as much. And I know that he's a God that can heal you. And healing comes in so many ways, so many forms. So don't leave this place tonight without praying with someone if you need prayer. That's why God brought us here. And I have been so very blessed to be able to share my story because of what God's done in my life.